Let's be real for a second. If you think the most dangerous part of your upcoming trip is the turbulence or the landing, you are catastrophically wrong. I'm not saying that to scare you, but I need to reset your focus, because while you are busy worrying about the peanuts in the legroom, there is a battlefield out there, and it starts the second you walk through those sliding doors at the departure level. We all have this mental image of airport security being this sort of gray, robotic no man's land where the biggest risk is getting scolded for forgetting to take your laptop out of the bag. But the reality of 2026 is far more complex and honestly, far more interesting. The rules have changed, the technology has changed, and most importantly, the people trying to separate you from your money and your possessions have gotten a lot smarter. Here's a question for you, and I want you to really think about it. When was the last time you walked through an airport and actually felt like you were in complete control, not just of your itinerary, but of your personal space and your belongings? I'm serious. Drop it in the comments. Tell me about the moment you realized something felt off, or maybe the moment you realized too late that you let your guard down. I genuinely want to hear your stories, because the collective experience of people who actually travel is worth 1,000 government manuals. And stick with me, because by the time we are done here, you are going to see the American airport in a completely different light, and you'll never pack a bag the same way again. We have to start with the obvious stuff, the stuff the TSA puts on the posters, because even the obvious stuff is constantly shifting. We are living in 2026, and if you are still packing based on what you learned 5 years ago, you are walking into a trap. Let's talk about the sheer volume of confusion surrounding the 311 rule. Everyone thinks they know it. Liquids in containers no larger than 3.4 ounces, all fitting into one single quart-sized bag. But the number of people I see trying to argue semantics with a TSA officer about what constitutes a liquid is staggering. It's not just water and shampoo. It's peanut butter. It's hummus. It's that expensive face cream you just bought. If it spreads, if it pours, if it gels, it falls under that rule. And in 2026, the enforcement on aerosols has tightened up significantly. That full-size can of deodorant or that dry shampoo you rely on, if it's over 3.4 ounces and it's in a pressurized can, it's gone. They are looking at the flammability and the pressure risks much more closely now. You might think you are saving space by bringing the big can, but you are just donating it to the TSA's collection bin. And the powdered substances issue is another one that trips people up constantly. For years, it was all about the liquids. Now, if you are traveling with protein powder, Nachong pre-workout mix, or even a large container of baby formula, you need to be aware that anything over 12 ounces is going to draw attention. They might need to open it. They might need to swab it for explosive residue. It's not that they think you are a bodybuilder with nefarious plans. It's that the chemistry of powdered substances can sometimes mimic the signatures of things they don't want in the cabin. If you can, put the big tub in your checked luggage. If you absolutely need it in the cabin for health or convenience reasons, just mentally prepare for that extra layer of screening. Don't be the person who gets indignant about it. The officer is just doing a job, and that job description now includes being suspicious of your creatine. Now let's get into the weeds on something that surprises even the most seasoned road warriors, the battery situation. We are a society powered by lithium-ion. Our phones, our laptops, our portable chargers, our smart luggage. The TSA has a very specific and non-negotiable relationship with these batteries. The rule, which is actually rooted in real science and real fire risks, is that loose lithium batteries, or batteries above a certain watt-hour rating, must be in the cabin with you. Why? Because if a battery catches fire in the cargo hold, it's a death sentence for the plane. If it catches fire in the cabin, the flight attendants can put it in one of those fancy fire containment bags. So, in 2026, that means your massive power bank that can charge your laptop 3 times over might actually be a problem if it exceeds 100 watt-hours, which is roughly 27,000 BF. Anything above that, and you need airline approval. And smart luggage? That was the hot gift a few years ago, the suitcases with the built-in batteries that you could charge your phone from. If that battery is not removable, that suitcase is not going past security. They will make you check it, but you can't check it with the battery inside, so you are left standing there, defeated, trying to pry open the lining of your expensive new bag with a set of keys. It's a mess. Always, always make sure your smart luggage has a removable cell. But here is where the conversation shifts from the rules of the checkpoint to the chaos of the terminal. And this is where pickpockets and scammers are licking their chops in 2026. We have to talk about the security bubble and how quickly it bursts. When you are in that line, waiting to take off your shoes and your belt, you are hyper-vigilant. You are watching the bins, watching your stuff, watching the officer, but the moment you step through the metal detector or the body scanner, something psychological happens. You exhale. You made it. You are safe. You start repacking your bag, putting your laptop away, lacing up your shoes, and in that 90-second window of distraction, you are a target. This is what pickpockets live for. They aren't lurking in the security line itself. They are lurking right at the exit of it. They are the people who seem to be struggling with their own jacket, or who dropped a coin, or who are just standing there looking at the departure screens, but their peripheral vision is locked on you. The mistake that puts you at risk, the one that scammers absolutely love, is the moment you separate from your belongings to help someone else. I'm going to paint you a picture. You are at the baggage claim or worse, at a charging station by the gate. You have your phone plugged into a public USB port, which, by the way, is a whole other level of risk we will get to, and your carry-on is resting against your leg. Suddenly, a very flustered, very polite person approaches you holding a map or their phone. They look lost. They ask for directions to a gate, or they ask what time it is. While you are looking at their screen trying to be a helpful human being, their accomplice is sliding your bag away from your leg or simply reaching into the pocket of your jacket that is draped over the handle. This is the distraction theft, and it is the oldest trick in the book, yet it works thousands of times a day across the United States. We are trained to be polite. We are trained to help. But in the airport, politeness needs to be paired with a defensive posture. Keep your bag strapped to your body. Keep your phone in your front pocket. If someone asks you for help, it is not rude to secure your belongings first before engaging. In fact, it's smart. And speaking of charging stations, let's talk about juice jacking. This is the cybersecurity nightmare that lives in those kiosks with the USB ports built into the columns or the seating areas. In 2026, this threat has evolved. It's not just about skimming data anymore, though that is still a massive risk. When you plug that cable into a public USB port, you are establishing a physical connection between your device and whatever is on the other end of that wire. A compromised port can install malware, suck down your contacts, your photos, your banking passwords, in the time it takes to get a 10% charge. The experts are now warning that it's not just the data theft, but the potential for juice jacking to act as a delivery mechanism for ransomware. Imagine landing in London or Tokyo. You turn on your phone, and instead of your home screen, you get a message saying all your data is encrypted and you have to pay to unlock it. All because you needed a quick power top-up in the Chicago O'Hare food court. The solution is so simple, it hurts. Carry your own wall adapter and use the AC power outlet, or invest in a charging cable that only transmits power and not data. They make them. They are called charge-only cables, and they are your best friend. Let's pivot back to the checked baggage counter, because the mistakes people make before they even get to the security checkpoint are equally alarming. There is a misconception that once you hand your bag over to the airline, it's someone else's problem. It's not. It's still your problem, especially if you have packed something that violates the rules. The rules for checked bags are different, but they are still strict. You cannot pack lithium batteries in checked bags. That includes the ones in your luggage, your tools, or your electronics. If you have a cordless drill in your checked suitcase with the battery attached, you are creating a fire hazard in the hold. You have to take the battery out and carry it on with you. The same goes for vapes and e-cigarettes. Those must be in the cabin with you, and in 2026, the rules about them being empty of liquid are strictly enforced. A vape pen with a full tank, even if it's just sitting in your makeup bag in your checked suitcase, is a no-go. It can leak, the pressure changes can cause it to fire. It's a mess. And then there are the weird things. The things that make the TSA agents shake their heads and post on the internal memo boards. In 2026, the crackdown on self-heating meal kits, the MREs, is total. Those chemical heating packs that react with water to cook your food, they are considered hazardous materials. You cannot have them in your carry-on or your checked bag. If you are going camping, ship your meals ahead. Do not bring them to the airport. Similarly, the rules on replicas have become zero tolerance. If you have a belt buckle shaped like a pistol, a toy lightsaber that looks too realistic, or a plastic grenade keychain, expect to have it confiscated or to be questioned extensively. In a post-9/11 world, and especially in the current geopolitical climate of 2026, clearly fake is not a defense. If it looks like a weapon in the X-ray, the officer has to treat it like a weapon until proven otherwise. That means a pat-down, a bag search, and potentially missing your flight. Let's talk about the document dance. This is the silent killer of vacations. You get to the airport, you are feeling good, you check your bag, you get to the TSA podium, and you hand over your ID. And then the agent looks at it, looks at you, looks at it again and says, "Sir, this isn't compliant. The Real ID deadline has passed. As of May 2025, you need a Real ID compliant license, a passport, a military ID, or a trusted traveler card to board a domestic flight. If you are still carrying the standard old driver's license from your state that says federal limits apply on the top, you are not getting through." There is a new fee-based service called TSA Confirm ID that started in February 2026 for people who forgot their ID, but it's a hassle, it costs money, and it's not guaranteed. Don't be that person. Check your ID before you leave the house. And while we are on documents, the passport issue is even more critical. I know someone, a friend of a friend, who showed up for a flight to Mexico with a passport that was valid for the dates of the trip. It wasn't expired. They were confused when they were denied boarding. The rule, which is not a TSA rule but an international customs rule, is that your passport must be valid for 6 months beyond your travel dates for many countries. They were turned away at the check-in counter. The airline won't let you fly because if the destination country denies you entry, the airline has to fly you back at their own expense. So they are going to play it safe. Always check the entry requirements for your destination, not just the TSA rules. Now, I promised we would talk about the security mistakes, the 7 specific things that are putting you at risk this year. We touched on a few, but let's lay them out clearly. Mistake number 1 is complacency with technology. We assume our devices are secure. We join the airport-wide free Wi-Fi network without verifying it's the official one. Scammers set up rogue hotspots with names that mimic the real airport network. You connect, you check your bank account while waiting for your flight, and you have just handed them your login credentials. Always verify the network name with airport staff, or better yet, use a VPN. A VPN is non-negotiable in 2026. Mistake number 2 is the overshare. Posting your boarding pass on Instagram. That barcode on that pass contains your name, your record locator, and often enough information for someone to go into the airline system and change your seat, cancel your return flight, or access your frequent flyer miles. The barcode is data. Treat it like a password. Cover it up, delete the photo, or wait until you are at your destination to post. Mistake number 3, and this is the one pickpockets absolutely love, is the rear pocket wallet, or the phone in the back pocket, combined with the rolling suitcase dragging behind you. You feel the bump, you turn around, and your wallet is gone. Or you are walking through the terminal, listening to music on your AirPods, and someone simply reaches down and plucks your phone from the outer pocket of your backpack. You don't feel a thing. In 2026, the thieves are using distraction teams, but they are also using technology. They have Bluetooth scanners that can detect high-value devices in bags. They know where to look. Keep your valuables in a zipped interior pocket or in a crossbody bag worn in front of you, not a backpack. Mistake number 4 is trusting the USB port, which we covered, but it bears repeating. Just don't do it. Carry your own battery pack. Mistake number 5 is failing to clean your luggage. I'm not talking about the laundry. I'm talking about the old barcode stickers from previous flights. This is a huge, hidden issue. When you check a bag, the airport's automated sorting system reads the barcode and sends the bag to the correct plane. If your bag still has 5 old barcodes from your trips to Miami, Dallas, and New York, the scanner gets confused. It doesn't know which barcode is the current one. That bag ends up in no man's land, the manual sorting area, and it often misses the flight. Spend the 30 seconds to peel off the old stickers. Your luggage will thank you by actually arriving with you. Mistake number 6 is ignoring the gate checking scam. Sometimes at the gate, the airline will ask for volunteers to check their carry-on bags because the plane is full. They say it's free, and you can pick it up on the jet bridge when you land. Here's the catch. If you have your medication, your jewelry, your laptop, or your camera gear in that bag, you are making a terrible mistake. Once that bag leaves your hands at the gate, it enters the baggage system. It is not coming back to you on the jet bridge. It is going to the carousel, and if it gets delayed, you are stranded without your essentials. Never, ever gate check a bag with valuables or necessities inside. If you must gate check, pull out anything you cannot live without for 24 hours and put it in a smaller personal item. And mistake number 7 is the emotional response. You are stopped for a secondary search. Maybe your bag tested positive for an explosives trace. It happens. It's usually because you touched a fertilizer bag at the garden center last week and didn't wash your hands. If you get angry, if you get sarcastic, if you start quoting regulations at the officer, you are guaranteeing that this search will take the maximum amount of time and be the most invasive possible. The TSA officers have a job to do. They have discretion. If you are polite, cooperative, and calm, they will move through the process efficiently. If you are hostile, they have every right to slow down, to be thorough, and to call a supervisor. Your attitude is the variable that controls the length of your delay. We also need to address the elephant in the terminal, the law enforcement officers you see walking around with their sidearms. The rules for them are incredibly strict, and it's a fascinating part of the legal code that most travelers don't think about. There are specific federal statutes governing who can be armed on a plane, and in 2026, there is a national registered armed law enforcement program that uses biometric credentials to ensure that the officer flying is who they say they are. It's a highly controlled system because the thought of an unauthorized firearm on a plane is the stuff of nightmares. But for the rest of us, it's a reminder that the entire airport environment is a patchwork of federal regulations, local ordinances, and airline policies. Think about the food you are carrying. That beautiful jar of artisanal honey you bought at the farmer's market? If it's over 3.4 ounces, it can't go in your carry-on. It has to be checked. That homemade sandwich with the gourmet aioli? The aioli is a gel or liquid, and if it's oozing out and makes the sandwich look suspicious, they might pull it apart. The TSA has become much more aggressive about unlabeled liquids in food items. Stick to solids. Buy your sauces and spreads after you pass through security. And what about the booze? The mini bottles from the duty-free shop are fine, but if you are trying to bring a full-size bottle of whiskey from home, it has to be checked. But there is a cap. If that whiskey is over 140 proof or 70% alcohol by volume, it is considered a flammable liquid and is banned entirely from both carry-on and checked bags. That includes some high-proof rums and grain alcohols. You cannot fly with them. Period. The landscape of what is allowed and what is forbidden is constantly shifting because the threat landscape is shifting. The rules about knives, for example, have gone back and forth over the years. As of 2026, the leniency is gone. Even small multi-tools with blades are being confiscated. The reasoning is that if a bad guy can get a blade through, it creates a vulnerability. So, if you have that little Swiss Army knife on your keychain, take it off and put it in your checked bag. Do not argue at the checkpoint. It's a losing battle. I want to circle back to the human element because that is where the real story is. The TSA agents, the gate agents, the baggage handlers, they are people. They are overworked. They are dealing with hundreds of passengers an hour, and they are enforcing rules that sometimes seem arbitrary. But those rules are written in the blood of past incidents. Every regulation, from the ban on lighters in checked bags to the requirement to remove your shoes, came from a specific security failure or a specific intelligence report. The reason we take our shoes off is because of the shoe bomber. The reason we have the 311 rule is because of a foiled plot to mix liquids on board. Understanding the why behind the rules makes them easier to accept and follow. For instance, why are there such strict limits on lithium batteries? Because the FAA has tested what happens when a laptop battery goes into thermal runaway in a cargo hold. It creates a fire so hot and so intense that the current fire suppression systems cannot put it out. It can burn through the containers and threaten the structural integrity of the aircraft. So, when an agent tells you that you cannot check that power bank, they aren't being mean. They are preventing a potential catastrophe. This level of understanding is what separates a savvy traveler from a frustrated one. When you know the rules and you know the reasons, you move through the airport with a different kind of confidence. You aren't worried. You are prepared. You have your quart-sized bag ready. Your ID is in your hand. Your laptop is accessible. Your pockets are empty. You are a streamlined machine. But let's also talk about the things that aren't in the rulebook. The unwritten rules of airport survival, like the fact that you should never, ever put your phone or your wallet in the basket that goes through the X-ray. That basket is touched by hundreds of people. It goes back through the machine, picking up dirt and germs. More importantly, it's the perfect place for a thief to perform a snatch and grab. They go through the line, they put their jacket in a basket, and when the basket comes out the other side, they grab your expensive iPhone instead of their jacket and walk away. By the time you realize what happened, they are halfway to the food court. Keep your valuables on your person. Go through the metal detector, then send your basket through. Or, if you have to put them in a bin, keep your eyes on that bin every second. And what about the TSA pre-check line? Is it worth it? Absolutely yes. In 2026, it's almost essential. The ability to keep your shoes on, your laptop in the bag, and your liquids packed, it saves time and reduces stress. But it's not a free pass. They still screen you. They still use random testing. And if you set off the alarm, you are getting the same pat-down as everyone else. But the reduction in friction is immense. Let's look at the international traveler for a moment. If you are flying out of the US to somewhere else, you have to go through US customs before you even leave in some airports. It's called pre-clearance. And in those airports, the rules are even stricter because you are technically on U.S. soil, even though you are in a foreign country. The rules about bringing back plants, fruits, or meats are aggressively enforced. I have seen people have their luggage torn apart because they tried to bring a sandwich from the airport lounge onto the plane. That sandwich, if it contains meat, cannot enter some countries, and the agricultural inspectors don't mess around. The technology at the checkpoints in 2026 is also something to consider. The body scanners are more advanced. They use automatic target recognition software, which means instead of the agent seeing a generic naked image of you, they see a little stick figure with boxes drawn on the areas that need attention. It's more private, but it's also more sensitive. It catches things that are hidden under clothing, whether it's a weapon or just a forgotten tissue in your pocket. So, empty your pockets. Completely. That gum wrapper, it's going to show up, and you are going to get a pat down. There is a concept in aviation security called the layer cake. No single layer of security is perfect. You have the TSA, you have the behavior detection officers, you have the federal air marshals, you have the reinforced cockpit doors, you have the K9 units, and you have the intelligence community. Each one is a layer. If one layer fails, the next one catches it. As a passenger, you are also a layer. Your vigilance is part of that cake. If you see something, say something. That phrase is a cliche, but it works. If you see a bag left unattended, report it. If you see someone acting strangely in the secure area, tell an agent. You are the eyes and ears that the system needs. Now let's talk about the ultimate forbidden item: attitude. You can't pack it, you can't carry it, and it will get you in more trouble than any pocket knife ever could. The stories of passengers being removed from flights for being belligerent are everywhere. In 2026, airlines have zero tolerance for disruptive behavior. If you argue with a flight attendant, if you refuse to wear a mask, if required on that airline, if you get into a fight over the reclining seat, you will be met by law enforcement at the gate. You will be fined tens of thousands of dollars, and you will be banned from that airline for life. It's not worth it. The airport is a pressure cooker, but you have to be the one who stays cool. As you are standing in line, watching the clock tick down to your boarding time, I want you to think about the journey you are about to take. It is a miracle of logistics and security that any plane gets off the ground. The rules, the frustrations, the delays, they are all part of the price we pay for the safety we enjoy. We don't have to love the TSA, but we have to respect the process. And by respecting it, by understanding it, we become the masters of it. The real mistake is thinking that security is someone else's job. It's your job too. It's your job to know what's in your bag. It's your job to keep your eyes open. It's your job to protect your own wallet from the guy who accidentally spills coffee on you. The TSA handles the bombs and the guns. You have to handle the pickpockets and the scammers. So, the next time you are walking through that terminal, head up, bag secure, ID ready, you will move differently. You will move like someone who knows the score. And when you get to your gate and you finally sit down, you can relax. Not because the danger is gone, but because you have navigated it successfully. You have played the game and won. Before I let you go, I want to come back to that question I asked at the beginning. I want to know about your close calls. Have you ever had something stolen at an airport? Have you ever been caught with something you forgot was in your bag? Have you ever witnessed a distraction scam in action? Drop it in the comments. Let's build a community of travelers who look out for each other. Because the more we talk about these tricks, the less power they have. And if you found this breakdown useful, if it opened your eyes to something you hadn't considered, then share it with a friend. Send it to your family. Because the best way to stay safe is to make sure everyone you know is just as informed as you are. The airport is a strange place. It's a city of transients, a bubble where normal rules are suspended. But you are not just a transient. You are a traveler, and travelers know the way. Safe journeys.